Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to get into the dual nature of consciousness, and understanding this is going to get you to that next level where you're going to have a complete understanding of what the simulation is, the hologram that you're living in, having a complete understanding of how it operates, how you impress the subconscious mind, how the conscious part impresses the subconscious part and then is created into the simulation. So if you want to change your life, if you want to manifest great things to come into your life and understand the dynamics of how it all works, this is the video for you. And I've actually come up with a graph here that I'm going to show you to better help you understand how it all works and how you can start making really big changes with your manifestations and really create anything that you want. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into the dual nature of consciousness. I'm going to give you a brief overview here and explain how this all works and how you can get to that expert level of manifestation. Once you understand the dual nature of consciousness, there's no way to argue anything, or there's no more confusion with how it all works, and it's all broken down dynamically, and how you make your impressions from your conscious state, what your concept of yourself is, and how those impressions are made into the subconscious and then expressed into the hologram or the simulation that you're living in now, which is consciousness. So I'm going to break that down. This is out of Neville Goddard's Prayer, the Art of Believing. All right, so dual nature of consciousness. A clear concept of the dual nature of man's consciousness must be the basis of all true prayer. Consciousness includes a subconscious as well as a conscious part. The infinitely greater part of consciousness lies below the sphere of objective consciousness. The subconscious is the most important part of the consciousness. It is the cause of voluntary action. The subconscious is what a man is. The subconscious is what a man knows. All right, so you may be a little confused right now, but I'm going to break this down for you. Okay, so this circle, this graph right in front of you here, the circle is the simulation. This is consciousness. There is nothing outside of consciousness. There is nothing outside of the simulation. Okay, everything, but the simulation is you. You are connected to everything that ever exists, and the only reason there's even an idea that anything is separate from you because it's vibrating at different frequencies and just has the appearance of being separate from you. But everything really is you. Just like in the Matrix, like when they were when they were trying to bend the spoon, you don't bend the spoon, you bend yourself because you are the spoon, okay? Everything in your world is you. There is no separation within consciousness. There's no gap or separation in consciousness. So this is the simulation, which is you. Okay, so, but within the simulation or consciousness, there is a dual nature, which is the conscious part and the subconscious part. The conscious part is what you know and what you consent to believe and what you're conscious of within the simulation and what you consent to be true of your world. And then those impressions are made into the subconscious part, which takes up, as you can see, 95% of everything. Those are your deep-seated programs from all your previous impressions that have been made. And then that is pushed out in what creates the simulation. But the conscious part is actually the controller of it all. The conscious part, which is your present moment awareness to make new impressions into the subconscious. And as you make these impressions from the conscious part into the subconscious part, they're projected out to the simulation. But the simulation itself has an infinite amount of different simulations that coexist simultaneously. So there's an infinite amount of versions of you. There's an infinite amount of versions of me. And as you make new impressions with your conscious part into the subconscious part, and start viewing your world differently as being someone else, as changing your concept of yourself, you shift in the multiverse to that world that lines up with that. Because right now, there's a version of you that has everything that you could ever dream possible. It's whatever you define as being the perfect life, whatever that may be, having billions of dollars or having great relationships or just living a fulfilled, happy life. There's a version of you right now that has all those things. And how you connect with that is the secret, okay? And this is why I'm breaking this down, the conscious part. So when you change your concept of yourself with your conscious part, with the conscious part of the simulation of consciousness into the subconscious, and then you shift to that world once you change your concept of yourself to line up with 100% feeling that you are now that person where your life is perfect, then you will shift in the multiverse to that world within the simulation, into that version of you that has all of those things. So it may not happen overnight. It may not happen in 10 minutes. But if you persist until it hardens into a fact, it will, because you will constantly be fractionally shifting closer and closer to that world the more that you do it. It could even happen very quickly. This was even stated to us in part in the Bible symbolically, which was stated, I of myself can do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the work. And what this means is I, objective consciousness, of myself can do nothing. The Father, which is the subconscious, he doeth the work. Okay, but what you got to understand is the conscious part is actually the controller of the subconscious part. So when you make your impressions of being someone different than who you are right now, when you change your state of consciousness, or imagine and feel yourself to be someone other than who you are now, but being the person that you want to be and having everything that you want to have, that's when you make an impression into your Father, which is the subconscious mind. And then you shift in the multiverse. Then it's pushed out. The world is you pushed out this way through the conscious part, subconscious part, and then it's pushed out because the subconscious does the work for you. You don't do the work. You're not doing anything. You're just making impressions. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anything else of doing the work. It's at least action, effortless work, okay? You just have to make the impressions with your conscious state, which may require you to do some work, like gaining the direction of your attention and consuming yourself with a new identity, shifting your identity, changing your concept of yourself, and then making those impressions into the subconscious, which is your Father doing the work. So what you must focus on is just changing what you're conscious of, okay, within the simulation. And this is what we're going to cover right here. The conscious mind reasons inductively from observation, experience, and education. It therefore finds it difficult to believe what the five senses and inductive reason denies. So as you react to the simulation, being the person who you are now, you stay in that world. If you continue to react to the things that are happening to you now as if they are real, and you don't have the privilege of changing anything, of changing your concept of yourself, then you will stay in that world forever. You're not going to shift fractionally in the multiverse to the world that you want to be, because the conscious mind reasons inductively from observation. So, and from your experiences and your education. But understanding that the simulation is just a hologram, and to be somewhat delusional about your world and understand that you don't have to react to the world because it's temporary. It's a temporary thing. The world that you're living in right now doesn't have to be permanent, but if you want to react to it the way that it is now, then it's going to remain that way. But it's temporary, and you have to view and observe your world as this. If it's not the way that you want it to be right now, you know that that's just temporary as long as you don't react to it now. And if you start seeing and start hearing and bringing your five senses in, using your imagination and seeing the things you want to see rather than the things that are right in front of you objectively, and you start changing that concept of yourself, that's when you start making new impressions into the subconscious. And then that world is then pushed out, and then it shifts you fractionally in the multiverse to a different world. And that's truly how you shift in the multiverse and change things drastically, in your life very, very quickly, is by denying the reasons of denying your five senses essentially in your three-dimensional world and seeing what you want to see rather than seeing the things that are there. And you start programming yourself this way. And sometimes it could take a long time because you have been doing this your whole life. You haven't been programmed this way. So like the subconscious mind is 95% of everything controlling you and your behaviors right now. But when you have present moment awareness, you start shifting and fractionally shifting yourself, your conscious state, what you're conscious of, and start making these new impressions. Over time, you completely reprogram the subconscious and your own behaviors, because the subconscious is in control of your behaviors, your automatic habitual behaviors. But you can start changing that now and start reprogramming these habitual behaviors to start thinking different ways and start disregarding the observation of your 3D world and what you actually see and you're experiencing now. It starts shifting that and changing it to start seeing what you want to see, living in the world that you want to live in. And you're already living there, and denying your senses and imagining, affirming, scripting, asking yourself questions, creating new feeling states of an accepted new end result. Acceptance of the end, your new end. And how does that feel? Because there's an infinite amount of versions of you right now. There's a version of you that has everything that you want within the simulation right now. That has the physique you want, that has the money you want, has the relationships you want, has the happiness you want, the gratitude, everything. But who is that person? How do they view their world? So you have to shift your view right now, currently, even if your world doesn't see that, even if you're not seeing that in your world now, you have to change, you have to shift yourself, get out of yourself, and then shift into that other version of you that has everything. And how would that person or that being view the world? And that's when you shift. And that's when you start changing the programs and the habitual behaviors that are being programmed back into you from the dual nature of consciousness, from the subconscious into the conscious, what you're conscious of within the simulation. And that's when you shift in the multiverse. So once you understand the dual nature of consciousness, then you have a true grasp of prayer and how the simulation works, how to shift and how to make your impressions over time. So this distinction must be clearly seen by all who would master the art of praying, by understanding that it's just prayer is an acceptance of your wish fulfilled, that it's already done. That's it. However you want to, whatever exercise you want to use or techniques you want to use to locate that, to actually perform that act, but that is true prayer. So no true grasp of the science of prayer can be really obtained until the laws governing the dual nature of consciousness are understood and the importance of the subconscious realized. Your conscious part is the controller of the subconscious. And then the subconscious is shifting you in the multiverse. That's what's pushing everything out that you are impressing to it. So the world is you pushed out. So whatever you consent to be true of your world within your current reality of what you're conscious of is impressed into the subconscious, and that 95% is controlling that. What happens to you after that? But you are the primary controller from what you believe and consent to be true of your world. And who are you right now? What is your concept of yourself? Who are you? What world do you believe you're living in? And what's your primary feeling states of your accepted end? And that's how impressions are made. So prayer, the art of believing what is denied by the senses, deals almost entirely with the subconscious, because only 5% is what you're conscious of. It's a very small percentage. But when you become presently aligned or presently aware of what you're reacting to, what you're not reacting to, and you're able to make these changes within the present moment, like as you're falling asleep, doing affirmations, visualizing, scripting, and continuing to do these things, you're making new impressions into the subconscious. And as you get better at that, the faster you shift in the multiverse. So that's really the key and the secret. So through prayer, the subconscious is suggested into acceptance of the wish fulfilled, and reasoning deductively, logically unfolds it to its legitimate end. So through prayer, the subconscious is suggested into acceptance. Through prayer, the subconscious is suggested into acceptance. So your conscious state is the one praying. What you're conscious of is the prayer, okay? So through your conscious state, what you're conscious of is impressing and suggesting the subconscious into acceptance of your new end. So as you continue to do this, as you continue to use exercises, especially when you're falling asleep, imagining that you're someone else, or listening to sleep meditations, hypnotizing yourself to have more than you have now, you wake up and you're shifting into another part of the multiverse, another reality within the multiverse that's closer, to that version of you that you want to be. And it's the practice through prayer, and the subconscious is suggested into that acceptance of that end. And if you are interested in mastering the art of your mind and manifestation and using your imagination and visualization and just creating an entirely new world for yourself and mastering this art to get to that next level, that expert level, we have for our members we have 3 live events every single week where we're going over different topics and doing Q&A. So if you have additional questions for me, you can answer. I answer all the questions in these live events, and we do them 3 times a week. So if you come to my landing page here, you will see a tab right here where I'm clicking over next to my profile. It says join. You click the join button, and then you come down here and you'll see 4 different memberships. You get 1 live event a week if you go to the I Am Barely Neville membership. But if you come to the I Am Neville, you get access to 3 weekly live events with me where you can do Q&A. We cover different hot topics, and we really, really get down into depth about manifestation and how to make these impressions and what we can do. So any specific questions you have, I will answer those. And we also have I Am Neville Squared, which is you're getting access to all the live events plus merchandise discounts and further things. And we're also doing Zoom conferences on the Mighty Network. So you will get access to those Zoom conferences where I can actually see you, and we can have a coaching call with each other one-on-one. And that's also included in the I Am Neville and the I Am Neville Squared. All right, so before we close out this video, I'm going to go over this one more time, okay, and give you this graph. This is the dual nature of consciousness. This is the simulation. The circle here that you see is the simulation. That is consciousness. All right, so this is you. The 5% here, the conscious part, is you. That's your present moment awareness. This is the controller of everything. This is you, the conscious part. What are you conscious of? Are you aware of what you're conscious of? Are you present in the moment of the impressions that you're making? All right, this is what controls everything. This 5% right here. All right, so the subconscious part controls the rest of the impression. So once you make an impression, you don't have to do anything. That's your only work that has to be done by you, is to make the impression into the subconscious part, and then you shift in the multiverse to the world that matches your accepted end of the conscious impression that you made into the subconscious part. All right, guys, if you have any more questions, join the live events for the memberships, and I can cover those more in detail, answer all of your questions as it relates to this, and we'll get deeper into this. But as always, I love all of you, and leave one thing that you are grateful for, and I will see you in the next one.